Welcome everybody, I'm Jorval, and again, thanks for coming back to part 2 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Ranger gameplay stream, where we play through the early access version of the game, currently on patch 7, where they made a few changes to patch 6, so we started over, and are now going through some gameplay to see all the things that have changed and been updated. So where we left off last time was we were just about to enter the bridge of the Nautiloid at the end of the prologue and see if we can get some RNG here and pick up a really nice weapon for a fighter in our party later on. So I'm not going to cheese this. I'm going to just see if we get some RNG, maybe help out a little bit with our party to see if we can help out a little bit and make that RNG go our way, and we'll see what we can do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in here. Alright, here we are, as you can see where we left off. As soon as we enter onto the bridge, it's going to start triggering a fight up here in this corner. That fight is going to continue, and the two people involved are going to continue to take damage from each other until we move in and move our characters into turn-based combat. So if you delay too long, that fight can go very, very badly, very, very quickly, and you would miss out on even a chance of being able to grab this weapon. So what we want to do is move into the room. As soon as we move in far enough, turn-based combat is going to trigger, and you'll see how we approach it at that point. So let's go ahead and move on in.
Wonder if the gods are watching me. Breathe deep and move.
Connect the nerves of the transponder. We must escape. Now!
Okay, well, we've entered into turn-based combat, and unfortunately it didn't start off very well. Captain Zhalk here has a two-handed greatsword that he carries, which is very, very nice, at least for early access. Unfortunately, you can see that he has a significantly larger health pool than the Mind Flayer does, and at the start of this combat, the Mind Flayer missed his attack, and Captain Zhalk hit, so now he's got almost double the amount of hit points, so it doesn't look like our RNG has gone very well here. Also, when we came in, we triggered, and you can see, we triggered some other enemies here in combat. We triggered a lesser imp here who's not carrying any weapons, so it's just melee with claws. We triggered a lesser hellspore here, and we also triggered a lesser imp that's carrying a crossbow. So what we want to do is we want to move ourselves through this room as quickly as we can, prioritizing taking out these enemies along the way, but getting ourselves into a point where we can start helping do damage here against Commander Zhalk and possibly healing the Mind Flayer while we're at it, because we want the weapon that he has, and to get that we're going to have to kill him to get it. We're at such a low level compared to him that directly damaging him with weapons and things like that doesn't cause a whole lot of damage, and it's very hard to hit. So we want to try and keep the Mind Flayer alive as long as possible to help do that damage for us. So what we need to do is, now it looks like our Raven is the first up in line here. We want to try and get our Raven into a position where we can possibly blind Commander Zhalk. So let's see if we can fly to a particular point here. Okay. So it looks like we can get into a position here. So we're going to position our Raven as close as we can, and we're going to try and get off our rend vision. Now the chance isn't going to be very good, only 35%, but if we hit and it blinds him, that can help save a direct damage against the Mind Flayer. So let's try and do that. What do you know? Did end up getting a blind off, so for the next turn he's going to be blinded, which leads to severe negatives to his hit chance. So hopefully that works out. So we're going to end the Raven's turn.
What should I do?
And Shadowheart is up next. What we're going to do is try and prioritize this lesser imp back here. And it doesn't look like I gave her any ranged attack before this, so we probably are going to have to use a spell here. So let's just move up as far as she can.
Moving.
Now the Sacred Flame cantrip is just within range, and it's a 65% chance to hit. So let's see if we can get that to hit. Nope, looks like the imp made its saving throw, so not a whole lot we're going to be able to do at that point. And that imp is going to be the next one to attack. What we hope is that he moves this down this way and prioritizes attacking us down here rather than trying to attack my Raven, because if he lands a hit, the Raven's just going to disappear, and I won't be able to summon it again because I'll be in combat this entire time. So let's yeah, let's just see what we can do here.
We need to get out of here now.
Okay, so it looks like the imp went after the Mind Flayer, took another 3 points off, but the Mind Flayer landed a big hit on Commander Zhalk, and that's the benefit of him being blinded, is because players have advantage on the attack rolls, so there's going to be a much better chance to hit in situations where they're blinded. So that worked out well. So what we'll try and do is now kind of work our way through here, but also get my ranger into a position where we can get up here again as quickly as possible. So let's see what we want to prioritize next. I think I'm going to leave the Hellsboar for Lae'Zel to deal with. Got a 90% chance to hit out here. And see, my percent chance to hit Commander Zhalk is only 40%. So let's try and make this hit out here. And if we can... Actually, I would probably like to try and go after the... No, we've got a better chance of killing the imp here, so let's go this way.
Shouldn't have made me your enemy.
I wasn't paying attention. To take that shot, I had to move past the Hellsboar, and in doing so, I provoked an attack of opportunity, which was not great. So we'll go ahead and try and make this attack again, and let's see if I'm going to have to make any movements to do this. No, I can just attack directly from here. Perfect. Okay, that's one down. Now I can continue this move. Because again, we want to get downrange as quickly as we can. And while I'm here, I'm definitely going to take a potion of healing with my bonus action. And now we'll end our turn here. Now, hopefully, I can get a good attack on the Hellsboar here. Perfect. So now, since Lae'Zel has the health pool here, we want to move her down as close as we can to the Imp. We're now going to do a pommel strike. Perfect. Dazed and took 3 more points of damage, so that's exactly what we wanted to see. So now Captain Zhalk is going to be able to make his attack, and he's probably going to go after the Mind Flayer. We can just hope that he misses. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So we're going to try and rend vision again. And we blinded him again. So our Raven's putting in some work. Well done.
Can't afford to let up.
What we want to try and do is move up here.
On the move.
And take this shot. Perfect. Now what we're doing is kind of minimizing the amount of extra turns that we need to get our people into position to cause damage. So now we want to keep moving up as quickly as we can, and we can cast Healing Word. Yes, we can cast Healing Word here on the Mind Flayer. So we got 5 more hit points back. Not a whole lot, but again, every little bit is going to help in this situation. So now what we need the Mind Flayer really to do is to cast Stun. Because Stun is going to last for 2 turns, and he's going to be completely incapacitated during that time. He's not going to be able to attack or anything like that, and it gives everybody a huge bonus to their attack rolls. So we really want the Mind Flayer to do some damage here with Stun. Okay, just a normal regular attack, but again, another 12 points. So certainly nothing to flinch at. So we're going to move up as far as we possibly can here.
At the ready.
And now let's see what options we have. I want to check my items here, because remember, we do have some caustic bulbs here. This is going to create a surface underneath of him. It's going to cause some damage, and it's also going to cause damage over time. So if we can get this off here... Okay, it looks like we'll be able to. So the way this works is that you can... When you landed at a location, you can see everything that's highlighted is going to be affected by it. So we really just want him to be barely inside that range. And we want to leave the rest of the space around him to be able to get like Lae'Zel or somebody over here on this side to be able to directly attack him as well. So get it back here as far back from him as we can, just like this, and we'll throw it. Okay, that was disappointing. For some reason it didn't go as far as it could have, so now everybody's going to be taking damage. That was probably one of the worst things I could have done here. Because now the Mind Flayer's going to be taking damage as well, but... Okay. Oh, it is what it is.
Swift and lethal.
So... let's go ahead and dash with Lae'Zel and get her into position up here. She's going to be standing in the acid, but we're going to have to be able to get into space with her. So at this point, I think we're probably okay. So nothing left in the bonus actions except I could take another potion of healing, but I don't think we're at that point yet. So let's see what Commander Zhalk does. Perfect. Wow, that bolt really caused some major issues here. So let's see if we can get our Raven into position to try and blind again. And it missed.
Got to keep fighting.
Okay, so we're gonna move up here.
Heading there.
Okay, so we got a couple of items here. We can try Guiding Bolt. That's a 40% chance to hit. The Sacred Flame cantrip is another 40% chance to hit. Or we can get off our healing word. Try and heal a little bit on the Mind Flayer after that explosion. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Well, let's... boy. Tough. Tough decision here. Let's actually try a Guiding Bolt. If it hits, it's going to be worth it. If it doesn't, it was a waste, but we'll see. Perfect. 14 points of damage. That was a big hit.
Leave him to me. Connect the transponder.
If this ship hits the
Ignore
ground,
the
we're
devil.
dead.
We must take the transponder.
I have no idea why the Mind Flayer moved in there. No idea at all. But what I want to do is kind of move up a little bit, but not far enough where I trigger the next set of combat back here. So let's try and move up here.
With haste.
And we're going to try a piercing shot. Again, only a 40% chance to hit. And it missed.
Time to strike.
So, Lae'Zel with her bonus action here is gonna use her second wind here and try and get some hit points back. Okay, that was good. We'll move down here. See if we can get a hit off. So we'll try and get a lacerate. Anything to cause damage over time. That's what we're looking for here. Okay. So he made a saving throw, but we did cause 6 points of damage, so he's still way ahead of the Mind Flayer here. So nothing we can do. We'll end our turn and let Commander Zhalk take his shot.
Your spine is mine.
Okay, so again, another big hit on the Mind Flayer. We'll try and rend vision. Perfect. Got him blinded. That's exactly what we wanted to see.
I'm ready.
And now we're gonna move up here,
Have to keep going.
and we're gonna try and cast Sacred Flame.
Intended!
Okay. Got off 4 points of damage. Again, not a whole lot, but anything is gonna be helping in this situation. Hopefully the Mind Flayer will do something right here. Okay, well again, just causing damage isn't going to be enough. He really needs to get a stun off, and I'm just not entirely sure that it's going to be able to do it. So let's see if we can get a piercing strike in.
Think you can take me on?
Didn't get it. Let's try an offhand. Critical hit. let's move up and try and trigger this next group attack.
It's clear. Hurry, before they strike.
Okay, so that triggers 3 more. 2 more imps, one with a hand axe, one just claws, and another Hellsboar. The reason I'm doing this is because reinforcements are going to appear back here at the door. And I need to be in a position where I have a free shot to the transponder, because the reinforcements are going to be heading straight for me. So I need to be prioritizing what's happening back here, as well as what's happening with the Mind Flayer. So, end our turn,
Will ascend.
trigger Lae'Zel here, and see what we can do. Looks like not a whole lot, so we'll just try and attack here. Another 5 points. And now, Captain's gonna get his shot. Another big hit. That didn't help.
Need to act fast.
Okay, so now we're gonna try and take out some of these enemies back here. Okay. And that's all we're going to be able to do with her at this point. Oh. Not helping. Okay, so we can probably kill the imp here. We might actually try and attack with our offhand first. Perfect. Got a kill. That took our bonus action. Now let's see if we can take out the other imp here. Perfect. 2 for 1. Now Lae'Zel should be able to move without triggering an attack of opportunity here. Well done. Okay, and we'll end her turn and see what happens.
Asterion will have your head.
Okay, so Mind Flayer's down to 18. He's at 53. This is not looking good at all.
Need to stay
But,
focused.
oh, and I have no idea why I clicked that. No idea. Oh boy. Okay.
Intended!
Made the saving throw. Ooh, 21 was a big hit. There's a really good chance that Mind Flayer is going to be dead here pretty soon. So, let's see. Let's see if I can get in here. Okay, so Piercing Shot and Piercing Strike are both gone. The Firebolt has a 35% chance to hit. Let's try and go in here and...
Cutting to the chase.
Okay, so 2 more hit points. Okay, I think we're pretty much stuck here with what we're trying to do, so we'll just get another attack and see if it works. Nope, it missed. There's a really good chance that the Mind Flayer is going to die on this turn. And see, there are the two Cambions. These are the reinforcements I was talking about. And they are definitely going to dash forward and try and get into range. So at this point, what we want to try and do is delay them, at least for a little bit. So we want to try and get our Raven to provoke an attack of opportunity here, because I'm going to have to make a run for the transponder now. I'm not going to be able to probably wait. We weren't able to kill him fast enough here, so want to try and provoke an attack of opportunity here. And he missed. Wow. Okay.
What's the plan? Incandescent!
Oh, and now you stun him. We could have used that stun a long time ago, because these two are going to be moving up here very, very fast. That was kind of unfortunate, because now you can see how high our to hit goes. So we are going to want to try and, because there's only 10 hit points left. So let's see if we can do this. Okay, he's down to 5.
Victory awaits.
Come on, Lae'Zel, get the hit. Oh no!
Your spine is mine.
Okay, so again, the Raven, let's just get him down here to a point. And we'll actually try and rend vision. Perfect, but the Raven's really a decoy at this point.
Ready.
It's all that's happening, is just being a decoy. So 51% melee chance, 100% chance for this to hit. And only 2. Oh, you're kidding me. Hey, the Cambions are gonna move up. Okay. Perfect. And we all leveled up. We'll go through this tutorial here in a little bit. At this point, everyone else except for me is just a delaying action. So we're going to dash here. We're going to loot. There's the Everburn blade, so we're going to take it. And now we're going to run as far as we can down this way.
Light on my feet.
Everybody else, if they die or they don't, it doesn't matter at this point. They're just fighting a delaying action. But at this point, I think we're going to be okay.
I am fury. I am death.
So we'll dash with Lae'Zel. And again, just get as far out of the way as we can.
Make way.
End the turn. One more dash.
On I go.
Okay, now the two Cambions are within range of the Mind Flayer, and that's probably where they're going to be attacking. Yep. Alright. looks like we made it. All we have to do now is touch the transponder and we're going to trigger a cutscene. So let's go ahead and do that.
Let's see what this does.
The Helm's alien transponder. You've made it in time.
Hells. I can't believe I'm in one piece.
Okay, well, we saw quite a few things during that cutscene. Some foreshadowing of enemies that we're going to run into. We also saw a couple of things trigger at the end here, now that we're able to take control of our character again. And one of those is the quest journal. This is going to be a really important part of managing your walkthrough here. During the prologue, there was only one quest. It was escape the Nautiloid, and that was it. So your quest journal didn't really matter very much. But now you're going to start picking up quests fairly regularly, and you're going to be gathering information about those quests from things that you do, things that you find, people you talk to, places that you visit. All of that information is going to be stored in your quest journal. So it's a very valuable way to check out where you are in your quest progress. So you can access it by clicking over here, or as it said, just by hitting the J button. So Escape the Nautiloid was the prologue quest, and we obviously completed it in a way that we wanted, because we did get a really nice greatsword out of it. Chapter 1 is now the current quest that we're on, and it kind of explains what you're supposed to be doing right now, and it will kind of give you an idea about what you're supposed to be doing next and where you're supposed to be heading. So if you ever come to a point where you're not entirely sure what you should be doing, just check your quest journal. It's normally going to give you some hints about what you should be doing. So now we are fully in control of our character for the first time, and we're all alone, which is kind of strange for us. So the first thing that we're going to do is, remember, we did level up during that encounter during the prologue, so we're going to go ahead and level up here. Now, the first thing to know is that the level cap currently in early access is level 4, I believe. So once you get up to that point, you're going to continue getting experience. You're just not going to level up any further than that. Whether they haven't implemented spells that go along with those levels, or they haven't implemented feats and abilities and things like that that go along with those levels yet, as the game gets closer to launch next year, they're going to be adding all of that stuff into the game and allowing us to test it out and try it. But for now, we're capped at level 4. So moving from level 1 to level 2, it tells us that the first thing we're going to get is our hit points are going to go up. They're going to go up from 12 to 20. That's influenced by our Constitution modifier, which is currently +2. So we're up to 20 on that. We're also going to open up level 1 spell slots, and we get to pick a fighting style. Now, this is entirely your preference. You can mouse over each of these and tell you what each one of them gives. In the early access, at least, archery is just very overpowered. Getting a +2 bonus to hit and to damage by specializing in this fighting style is just way too good to pass up for me. So that's the way I'm going to focus on this. But for you, feel free to look through the other options here and choose what you want. Now for the spells, we get 2 of them, so we're going to click Customize down here, and we're just going to remove the ones that are here by default. We're going to kind of go through a few of these. As a ranger, you kind of get little tiny doses of both a cleric and a wizard, while at the same time getting a lot of animal-based spells and environmental spells, so to speak. So on the environmental side, we get Fog Cloud, which is a really good crowd control method. Enemies that are in it can't make any ranged attacks. They're obscured and blinded while they're in it, and you can't make ranged attacks into the Fog Cloud either, but that might not be what you're going for with that portion of crowd control. As far as Long Strider and Jump, they basically increase your movement range and increase your jump length. I don't find them to be very useful in early access, so I'm going to skip them. Speak with Animals, however, is very, very interesting, at least in early access. You can cast it once right off the bat, and it stays active all the way up until you long rest for the next time. So you cast it once, you use up a spell slot to do it, and it stays active. You can get a lot of information from speaking to the different animals that you're going to encounter, at least through early access. But if you're doing this on your own and you're following through like a playthrough wiki or something like that, all of that information that you would be able to glean from the animals themselves is going to be in that wiki. I've used Speak with Animals quite a bit on previous playthroughs, and it's extraordinarily useful. So if you're doing it without the benefit of any outside help, then Speak with Animals is really a great way to help flesh out the story and get more information about what's happening with quests and what's going on around you. But I'm going to skip it this time. The first spell that I really want to pick is Hunter's Mark. The reason for Hunter's Mark is that it gives you a big bonus to damage. You cast it during combat, you cast it on an enemy, and if you kill that enemy before the spell ends, you have the opportunity on your next turn to use a bonus action to apply that Hunter's Mark to another enemy. So you can just keep moving on down the chain as you kill these enemies and keep getting bonus damage over and over and over again. just by using a bonus action to reapply it. It's a very, very powerful spell for rangers to do. I highly recommend using it, so I'm going to take it here. Now, you do get a healing spell. Again, I don't find this to be very useful. We'll end up with a cleric in our party at some point, and it's actually very, very quickly that we're going to end up with that cleric in our party. So I use the cleric to heal wounds, and you also come across a lot of healing potions in the game and that sort of stuff. So I don't find it to be very useful to have my ranger with cure wounds, but the choice is yours. Animal friendship is really just a way to take hostile animals and make them not attack you. It's a way to do a limited amount of crowd control just on one enemy, but again, I don't find it to be very useful. Most of the combat that you're entering into so far through this, you're just better off just taking those enemies out of the fight rather than charming them and moving on to something else. So from here, we've got 3 other spells here that you really want to focus on. Ensnaring Strike is an entity control spell. You use it before an attack for your bow. If it hits, they're encased in thorny vines and you get some weapon damage on top of your bow damage. They can't move until they make a saving throw to move out of it, and they keep taking piercing damage at the start of every turn after it. So if you've got an enemy that you want to keep out of the fight but has some hit points that you want to start to whittle down while they're out of the fight, Ensnaring Strike is just incredibly useful to do. Goodberry is another healing spell. Again, I don't really use healing spells in my rangers. Hail of Thorns is another very, very useful spell. In a cone in front of you, when you cast this, it shoots out basically arrows or darts, and they deal slashing damage, and then they explode and they deal an additional damage on top of that. So if you're the type of ranger especially that's dual wielding or that's dueling or something like that, where you're getting up into the fight and you have multiple enemies in front of you, Hail of Thorns can be very, very useful. I'm more focused on ranged, so I'm going to try and keep my ranger out of direct melee combat for the most part. So it's not as useful for me compared to Ensnaring Strike, so that's the way I'm going to go. But if you're up close and personal with your ranger, definitely think about Hail of Thorns. It's a very useful spell here. So I'm going to take those 2 and finish my level up. Okay, now in control here, just like you did on the Nautiloid, you just kind of want to move around. You can look at your map up here. Any of the highlighted areas are areas that you can currently walk to or step on. So you kind of want to just walk around, make sure that you're not missing anything, that there are no chests to loot.
There must be a settlement somewhere nearby.
Or things that you can pick up or anything like that. So it doesn't look like we have anything around here necessarily. So we're going to move on up.
Light on my feet.
As you move on up, we have holding the Alt key. You see we've got a fisher here. We're going to search them. Bottles. I haven't found anything in early access to use them for. I'm going to pick one up just because I want to try a couple of things, because honestly I've never tried to use them very much. I'm just going to pick this one up. As far as camp supplies, we kind of talked about this a little bit the last stream. Camp supplies are what you use to be able to take a long rest. You need to have 40 of them to be able to rest fully during that time, but you can pick those supplies up at your camp. So don't ever keep those, just put them into your camp and let them stay there, and you'll use them when you want to rest at that point. No use cluttering up your inventory with it. So now you can also see that we're about to come upon Shadowheart here, who is unconscious.
Seems like a good moment to talk.
Okay, so that's the second time that we focused on that artifact that's in her hand. And again, this starts to introduce you more and more into the party approval mechanic in the game. when you think about what your actions here are, either to wake her up or reach for the artifact, if you reach for the artifact and say she wakes up and catches you doing it, she's probably going to disapprove of you doing that. And it's going to register as a Shadowheart disapproves. Your disapproval and approval of your other party members can influence how the game plays out for you throughout your playthrough and how their interactions deal with you and other people in the party around you. So I tend to play this fairly straightforward and not try and upset many people as much as I can. So I'm not going to take a chance that I could reach for the artifact and have her catch me, so I'm just going to wake her up.
You're alive. I'm alive. How is this possible? I remember the ship. I remember falling. Then nothing. No, I don't recognize this place. But anything's an improvement on where we just came from. First things first, we need supplies, shelter, and most of all, a healer. We might have escaped, but we still have these little monsters in our heads. We need each other, and we both know what's at stake. I can't think of better company. One thing, just before we go. I wanted to thank you again for freeing me. It would have been all too easy for you to run right past my pod, but you didn't. I'll remember that. Lead the way.
Okay, and again, you saw a couple of things that I tried to highlight during that time. You did see that Shadowheart did approve of us attempting to rescue her. If you bypassed her during the prologue, then you wouldn't get that approval. But you also saw that there was another journal entry that got updated. So if you go to your journal, you can now see that there's the companions list down here, the list Daughter of Darkness. And as you learn more about your various party members, that information is going to show up here and can lead you to specific quests to help make them allies of yours, and also improve relations with them and find out more about them. So again, keep checking your journal as you go, and you'll see where you're, how we're doing and where we're at. Next thing you notice is the Shadowheart needs to level up. All of your characters are going to level up with each other, so if you don't have one of your characters in your party with you all of the time, and they're sitting in camp waiting for you, and then you go pick them up because you need them for a specific, picking a chest or a lock or a specific quest or something, they're not going to be seriously under-leveled compared to you. So every one of your companions is going to level up the same, so if you get the opportunity to level them up, just go ahead and do it.
What's next?
Okay, so Cleric moving from level 1 to 2, she's now up to 17 hit points. She unlocks spell level 1, and she gets Channel Divinity. Now, Channel Divinity, based upon her domain here, which is Trickery, unlocks a couple of things. Channel Divinity first is going to get you turn undead, which is obviously a very, very useful spell to have, or an action to be able to cast for clerics. But because of her Trickery domain that is associated with her, you don't get to pick her domain, it's automatically chosen for her. Moving from level 1 to 2, she gains the Invoke Duplicity action. So as part of Channel Divinity, she can invoke Duplicity, which is basically creating an illusion that's going to distract enemies and give you and your allies advantage. So it can be very useful in certain situations, especially as a crowd control type of thing. And we'll get more into that later on. So prepared spells, clerics, unlike rangers and wizards, they learn all of the available spells automatically, but they can only prepare a certain amount of them. So let's look at the spells here. that are prepared, and we'll kind of go through these. So we'll just remove these. Bane and Bless are very, very useful in anything you do. Bless gives everybody else in the party bonuses to attack rolls and saving throws. Bane gives up to 3 enemy creatures negatives on their attack rolls and saving throws. And it lasts a long time, 10 turns each. So I tend to use these as kind of a buff and debuff before big fight type of spells. So I take them both. Command, I don't find it to be very useful. It only halts somebody for 1 turn and then they're able to move again. And it just doesn't seem to work very good against even single enemies. Create or Destroy Water can be very useful. There's a lot of fire in this game. There's a lot of harmful surfaces in this game, like acid and things like that on the ground. Water that you create can help wash that away. So it can be very useful, putting out fires and dousing party members who are on fire. But at the same time, there are a couple of other ways that we're going to be able to do this later on. So I normally don't prepare Create or Destroy Water. I focus on other things instead. And one of those is the 2 healing spells. So the difference between Cure Wounds and Healing Word is that Cure Wounds, you have to be able to touch somebody to be able to activate it, but you do more healing. Whereas Healing Word, anybody that you can see gets healed, but you heal for less. Both can be very, very useful throughout the game, so I tend to take them both. The next, these 2 here, Shield of Faith and Protection from Evil and Good, I don't need to focus on as much. They're basically buffing spells for your party. As we go along, you'll see why I don't need to focus on these as much. Then we've got 2 offensive spells. Guiding Bolt, which you saw earlier, can do a lot of damage if it hits, and you also get advantage on your next attack roll. And then Inflict Wounds, which again, if it hits, can do necrotic damage. So again, both very good damage dealing spells. The difference is that Inflict Wounds is a melee spell. You have to be right up close and personal to get it to work, whereas Guiding Bolt has an 18-meter range on it. So I'm going to go for Guiding Bolt and just stick it in there prepared for now, just in case. Okay, so now we've got our first party. So the first thing I am going to do is, like normal, is I'm going to cast my Find Familiar with my Raven again. Get it up and running. And now I'm just going to continue on and do some exploration here. Looks like there's a clamshell. So I can pick this up, and you see it doesn't weigh very much, but it's worth 6 gold. So you want to try and prioritize things that don't weigh a whole lot, but are valuable. So I'm going to pick that up. You don't have to.
Can't slow down.
You're going to have a lot of gold even through the start of the early access playthrough here. So you don't have to pick everything up, but
Need to find a way forward.
I tend to pick up things more often than not. So nothing else down here. Move up, we've got a barrel. Gold, and again, camp supplies, so I'm going to send those directly to the camp. Now you can also see that now that we've got party members, I can send items directly to my other party members. And that's going to be very useful, because as you pull up the character sheet, the party view tab here, everybody has their own inventory. Everybody has their own carry weight, and it's based on your strength. So right now I'm getting really close to being encumbered, which is going to slow you down and give you some negatives to various things that you might want to do in the world. But Shadowheart has a lot of capacity left, so I'm going to move over some of these things that I picked up during the prologue. I'm going to give her a short bow because she needs to have a ranged attack. The slave... Whoops, looks like I just crashed. So let me go ahead and get things restarted here. Go through this again. So we picked up these 3 mines on board the Nautiloid. I haven't found a use for them so far in the playthrough, but maybe there is going to be use for them at some point, so I'm going to keep them around. Again, early access, things get reset every time you do a patch, so it's not like it's necessary to do all of this anyway. But it's just me being who I am to keep that stuff around. So, the studded shield we're going to move over. We've got some camp supplies that we're going to send to the camp, and everything else other than that should be okay. And now you can see that we're nowhere close to being encumbered now, so it gives us some more opportunity to loot things, which is obviously what everybody wants to do in Dungeons & Dragons, right?
One day I'll catch a break.
You can see that there's some dead Intellect Devourers, so obviously a lot of these dead civilians, that's because of what came out of the ship when it crash landed, and I'm going to send these bottles to my camp. That's what I normally do with them.
Not that it mattered in the end.
I've got one of those bottles in my inventory. I'll kind of check it out here in a little bit.
Wouldn't wish that fate on anyone.
More supplies to send to camp, and we've got what looks like a book here.
Fresh water. There must be a settlement somewhere nearby.
Nothing except a song. But books are fairly light, and they're normally quite a bit of gold, at least early on in the game. So I'm going to right-click on it and pick it up. You see, you can't send it directly to somebody else's inventory. You have to pick it up and then send it to somebody's inventory later. There's a backpack here. Backpacks are kind of interesting, and because they're storage within a storage, so to speak. You can't wear this, as far as I've found, in the game. Maybe I just haven't tried it very much, but I'll actually pick this up and see inside my inventory if there's a place for me to put this on. I don't think there is. Yeah, doesn't look like there is. But you can open it. So you can have things stored inside the backpack, stored inside of your inventory. I don't find it to be very useful, so I tend to not pick them up, but, you know, if you find yourself running short on space,
Have to keep going.
feel free to pick it up and use it as an Inception type of thing. Storage within storage. Okay, we've got a letter here. So, if I go in and I read this letter, you can see it's about someone named Anna, and she's talking to Sai, wrote him a letter saying that she's going to meet him at Baldur's Gate. At some point, this letter and finding it may become more important. When you get into Baldur's Gate, maybe you can find Anna. Maybe that will trigger another quest if you actually let her know what happened to Sai, that you found him dead here on the beach. So that sort of stuff is what tends to play out inside these Baldur's Gate games. So don't ever overlook something like that. Always go explore it. It might open up future things for you. So just some barrels here. Thieves' tools. Thieves' tools are great. They allow you, obviously, to thief stuff. They allow you to pick locks and things like that, so you always want to have one in your inventory. Now, you can always abuse the save and reload mechanic in this game. So before you go to pick a door, you can save, and then try and pick it. If you fail, the thieves' tools are going to disappear from your inventory, and you might even break the lock if you fail disastrously on it. But if you don't get the result you like, you can always just quit, reload the game again, and try it again. I'm not going to be doing that through this playthrough. I'm going to be letting the dice fall where they roll, and whatever comes of it, comes of it, and we'll suffer the consequences. So I'm going to carry some thieves' tools around just to help manage all of that. So now you saw a waypoint was discovered. We'll get to that here in just a second. I'm going to do a little bit more looting A trap disarm kit does exactly what it says on the tin. It's going to allow you to make a roll to try and disarm a trap, so something else good to have. Rope, I haven't found to be very useful in the early access playthrough yet. In tabletop, it's extraordinarily useful because you're able to think outside the box. You're able to think outside of the rigid programming of a video game and use the rope for a lot of different things. I'll keep rope on me just because it doesn't weigh very much, but at the end of the day, it's probably not going to be very useful. So if you don't want to carry it, don't carry it. I am going to pick up some camp supplies here, and it's going to go walk you through the tutorial, which we've already really talked about.
These boots
About
have
what a
seen
long
everything.
rest does, and then I'm going to search the last fissure here. Okay. Now, what's here on the wall, this rune circle, is the waypoint, quote-unquote, that we discovered earlier. This is a way for you to fast travel around the map. So as you find more of these, you can walk up to one, you can interact with it, and it's going to pop up your map, and it's going to show you a list of all the ones that you found, and you can just click it and fast travel to it. In this case, we're actually going to go click on it for a different reason.
Let's see.
Okay, so our overgrown ruins are shown here, and our camp. Now, the camp, again, you can fast travel to it to pull things out of your camp chest, but normally it's a place that you're going to get to do your long rests and that sort of stuff. But you can see it does show you an overall map of the entire area, so you can scout out ways that you haven't been and know that you've also explored all of the things around certain locations. So if it shows that maybe there's a darkened area down here, it knows that you might have missed it, and you can travel yourself back down there and go look at it. So your map is a very useful thing in general to pull up and look at, and you can access your map from here or by hitting the M key. But these waypoints are going to pop up and allow you to fast travel.
Very well.
So moving down this way, seeing there's some more camp supplies here. And we have an ancient door. Okay, now when I mouse over it, you see I get the lock icon. That means that I can attempt to pick this door. When you click on it, you can right click and you can click lockpick. Lockpick is going to, if you have a thieves tool set in your inventory, you're going to be able to make a chance at lockpicking. It's going to then do a roll against the DC or difficulty class of the door. And with your dexterity modifiers, you're going to have to roll higher than that number to be able to pick it. Or else, like I say, the thieves tools are going to break. And if you don't have any more thieves tools in your inventory, you're not going to be able to get to the door. You can certainly try and pick through this door. The outline of it is yellowish. Just like the chests that you find, the outline is going to tell you how rare it is or how difficult something might be. So in this case, it's going to be more difficult than average probably for us to do it. So I'm going to kind of leave it where it is. We're going to have another opportunity to deal with what's behind this door as we get further through the playthrough here. So
how much farther can I go?
So I'm going to look up here, and you can look at your mini-map, and you can see that there's a couple of Intellect Devourers sitting up here. They're yellow right now. They're not red, so they're not shown as hostile. That can always change. But let's move ourselves up here and see what happens. Okay, it looks like they both ran off. And you can kind of see them stuck up here in this area now. So they didn't attack. So holding the Alt key, you can see that we've got some other things that we can loot down here. More gold, always good. Nothing there. Okay, and you can see that we haven't been down this way, and there looks like there's another body or two down here. Dagger, always nice. I'm gonna send that to Shadowheart for her carry.
What's hiding here? No traps, please.
Okay. Alright, looks like we're back to where we started if you look at the minimap. So now we really only have one way to go, and that's through the center of the crashed Nautiloid here. So what I'm going to do here is again get my familiar up. And I'm going to go into sneak mode.
Never wanted the easy path.
And the reason I'm going to do that is because you can see that those Intellect Devourers that moved have now become hostile. And you can see their vision cones on the ground. So we kind of want to plan out this combat here a little bit. And kind of look around and see what opportunities we have. We have some high ground over here, but it's all within a vision cone. So we're going to get spotted if we try and move up there, most likely. But however, this way looks like we can get up here onto this high ground. So I'm going to go ahead and try and do that. And I'm going to toggle group mode so only myself and the Raven go with me.
Seen everything.
And I'm going to do this one at a time. Okay, and you can see that there's one Intellect Devourer that's patrolling around. And you can see the vision cone. You can kind of see that it overlaps a portion of this upper area up here, so you don't want to get into a position where you're going to be seen. So I'm going to get both into position there, and now I'm going to bring Shadowheart up.
Onward.
Okay, and now that I'm up here, I'm going to try and move. I've taken an idea about where the vision cones are and where they overlap.
Ready. Unseen.
Okay, and this kind of gets me to the point where I'm ready to initiate an attack. So I'm going to move myself up here to this corner, or up here to the end, and I'm going to take a ranged shot and enter it into
Better stay
combat.
back.
Okay,
One strike could be lethal.
now you can see that only my ranger so far has entered into combat. So my ranger and all of the Intellect Devourers are currently frozen in place, in stasis, so to speak. They're in turn-by-turn combat,
Secrecy.
but Shadowheart is not. So Shadowheart can move up, can move into a position to maybe do some damage as well.
No time to dally.
And this could get her a free attack, so to speak. So 100% chance to hit here, a 95% chance to hit here, and she can make that attack without moving. So I can probably kill this Intellect Devourer, but I could also cause a lot of damage to this one. How about we just take this one off the board for sure. Okay, and now you can see that she joined in the fight, and she rolled really high in her initiative, so now that Jorvalin has taken the action, which was the bow shot to get into combat, have a bonus action left, nothing else that we want her to be able to do, so we're going to end her turn. Actually, you know what? We've got the Raven also in play. Probably should have used the Raven to attack down there, but let's hold my Raven in reserve. And you'll kind of see why I want to do that. Okay, so we're just in Jorvalin's turn. The Intellect Devourers are now surprised, so they're now in combat. So now we go back directly into the fight again with Jorvalen. So we got basically 2 free attacks out of that, just by manipulating how the turn-by-turn combat system works. So we're going to take another shot here. Not a very good one, not at all. And I should have cast Hunter's Mark before I did that. So we'll go ahead and do it now. We'll end the turn. We'll take a bow shot here. Critical hit, great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and end turn, and now the Intellect Devourer is probably going to dash to get close to us. Okay, which is exactly what happened. So now I can reapply Hunter's Mark. The previous enemy's dead, and just for using a bonus action, I can reapply this extra damage. And now take this bow shot. And that's what that extra bonus helps do. This is kind of alerting you to the short rest mechanic, and what it does. We talked about this previously, but you can see here I've got 2 green dots. That indicates I've got 2 short rests available to me. Just keep an eye on that. It's a very beneficial way to be able to get hit points back and regain some actions and abilities that you have that that can be very useful throughout the playthrough. So
On my way.
I'm gonna move myself back down here in the group and start looking
Don't
around.
waste a step.
So Alt, again, got some dead bodies down here.
What's in here?
Let's do some searching. Nothing. Nothing. Let's see, we have a way out going this way. We also have an upper level up here. Looks like we've got a dead Mind Flayer up there that we can possibly go search.
What's inside?
So, gold, a rapier, very nice. I'll take that for now. The silver locket and some camp supplies. So now let's head up
Can't slow
here.
down.
I want to try something. Okay, so I don't have access to the bottles. I do have one in my inventory, right? Yeah, I've got a couple in my inventory. Let's... Yeah. Yep, the bottles aren't able to pick up anything that's on the ground or part of a surface. They just are what they are. So... not very useful that I found in the playthrough. I just wanted to verify. Potion of Healing, very good. The Caustic Bulb, we already saw how good or how bad if you misthrow it that can be. And the Void Bulb, same way. I'm going to leave the skull. I don't need it.
Swift as my feet can carry me.
See over here, we've got another chest up here on the high ground. Okay, now this Nautiloid tank is kind of... There were a few of these that you saw on the Nautiloid. They're very explosive, just like all of this fluid that's on the ground is very flammable. It says that in the tooltip when you mouse over it. You can actually pick these up. They weigh quite a bit, but you can pick them up and you can carry a couple of them or 3 of them throughout the prologue, and you can go over and place them on the ground next to Captain Zhalk, and you can shoot those and cause a big, huge explosion. Which can, you know, outright kill him or do a lot of damage. It's kind of a way to cheese the encounter with him rather than relying on RNG like we did. I don't tend to do that, but keep that sort of stuff in the back of your mind as a way to cause damage to a large group, or even better yet, to deny a certain area of the map to enemies that might be coming at you. If you know that enemies are going to come through a door, you can place this in front of the door. When the enemies open the door, you can shoot it, cause a big explosion at that point. That's the sort of stuff you need to start thinking about when you're dealing with other objects throughout. Is it's not just you and your weapons causing damage. You can do other things to deny areas or cause damage to enemies throughout the game. So I'm gonna jump up here on top and search this Mind Flayer in this chest. Basic poison. What this does is it, whatever weapon you have and you apply it to, it's going to apply poison to it, and that's going to last for 3 rounds, and anything that you attack with it is going to have the possibility to become poisoned if they fail their saving throw. So just a little bit of extra damage, so to speak, if you need it in a difficult encounter. So again, very useful though. So a couple of different ways to go, like I mentioned. One up this way and one down this way. I'm going to start out going this way and make sure I clear down through the shore here. So I am going to save once more because we have been getting crashes here. So just save and work our way down to the shore.
Anything of use? Let's have a look.
Fairly standard stuff so far, nothing too out of the ordinary. More thieves' tools, always very helpful.
With haste.
Head down this way, looks like we got another
Don't
clamshell.
mind if I do. Should mind my step.
Doesn't look like there's anything else out here,
Moving in.
but you can always walk out there and check.
Moving ahead.
And you can see when you enter the water, you automatically slow down. And you'll get little icons that tell you you're in difficult terrain, so your movement speed is now halved. That's the effect that different surfaces in the game can have on you, so be very careful when you're dealing with what's on the ground in front of you.
Might be useful.
Another clamshell over here. There's some more camp supplies. I'm going to open up my inventory and get rid of some of these camp supplies by sending them to my camp. You can do this whenever you want. It's no big deal. It just frees up some inventory space is all. So I think that's it. Yes.
One day I'll catch a break.
Another camp supply.
On my way.
Should have waited a little bit. Okay, you can see this wooden trunk is locked. So we've got 2 thieves' tools. So I'm actually going to try and lockpick this.
Bet I can crack that open.
Okay, DC is 5, which is good. I've got a +3 to my dexterity, but you can also see there's an add bonus option down here. If you click on this, you can see that Shadowheart can cast the guidance cantrip. Cantrips you can cast over and over and over. They don't cost a spell slot. All they cost is an action, and since we're not in turn-by-turn combat here, she's going to get her actions back as soon as she does it. So it's as soon as she casts it. So it's basically unlimited spells. So you might as well add that onto it. Now the only way I can fail this, because I have a bonus of 4 to 7, is if I roll a natural 1. Okay, so it's unlocked. Now I can loot it. And you see I got a leather helmet. That gives me dexterity saving throws +1. So I can immediately go in and equip that. Now you can click this button here to show whether or not you want your helmet to be shown. That was interesting. There it is. So now it shows it, or you can, right now it's going to hide it during the, or now you can hide it so it doesn't show. Okay, just some aesthetics, however you want it to be. I personally find that if I'm going to be wearing it, I'm going to be wearing it. I'm not going to be pretending that I'm not. So I tend to show it all the time, but it's all personal preference.
How much farther can I go?
So again, moving up here, just kind of moving from side to side, again in short runs. You can see we have another yellow icon that popped up. And we'll deal with Asterion here in just a second. So it looks like we can move over this way.
At the ready.
Looks like there's some camp supplies out here.
I'll take
So
that.
we'll go pick those up. Okay. It also looks like there might be a pathway down here. We're actually going to hold off on doing that for a little bit, and you'll kind of see why here once we
well.
get to that point. So for now,
If not over,
we're going to
then
head up
through.
this way, and it looks like there's a
Time
little
to press
path
ahead.
leading off to the side here. So we're going to go explore that first.
Have to keep going.
Doesn't look like there's anything up here,
These boots have seen everything.
but you always want to go walking around,
haste.
because even when you're walking around, you'll get perception checks, and you may find something that's hidden in the area next to you. So even if you physically can't see something in an area, go walk to it and just see if you get some indication that there might be something there. So now this takes us back inside the Nautiloid where we were. And it also opens up another way to go over this way. So let's just go clear out
Swift as my
and
feet can
explore
carry
this
me.
little section over here to the right before we trigger Asterion. So holding Alt, you can see there's another
Light on
Mind
my
Flayer
feet.
up here. There's also another path that heads up this way. Potion of Speed, extraordinarily useful. Another Caustic Bulb.
Best be on my way.
Now looking through here, doesn't look like there's anything else down here this way. So now
Don't waste a step.
we can go back and meet Asterion.
Hey! I need some help! Hurry! I've got one of those brain things cornered. There, in the grass. You can kill it, can't you? Like you killed the others?
Interesting. Won't give any spoilers about Asterion just yet, but either one of these options, feel free to do. I'm gonna flatter Asterion a little bit and just pick this one.
I was hoping for a kind soul. Well, not to worry.
Okay, so obviously it was a trap of some sort. If you would have moved up to try and kill it, you would have ended up in this same situation. But now we have a couple of options here. We can do a dexterity check or a strength check. That's what these brackets here mean. So with dexterity, I can get a +3 bonus from rolling against it. With strength, I only get +1. So I'm going to try and obviously pick the make a dexterity check because I get more bonuses. And don't forget, you can add that cantrip into it.
I saw you on the ship, strutting about whilst I was trapped in that pod. What did you and those tentacled freaks do to me? I'm not an idiot. I saw... Ah!
Your mind twists. You're looking out of unfamiliar eyes, prowling dark, busy streets. You try to hold the memory, but it fades to the worm. The light, the fear.
What was that? What's going on? It's those tentacled monsters. Whatever they did to us caused that link. They took you too. I saw it during whatever just happened. And to think, I was ready to decorate the ground with your innards. Apologies. A kindred spirit. My name's Asterion. I was in Baldur's Gate when those beasts snatched me.
And because of the story options that I chose during character creation, becoming a Baldurian, I can choose this option and just introduce
Is that
myself.
so? We clearly move in different circles.
The disdain is
So,
real.
do you know anything about these worms? Turn us into... Of course it'll turn me into a monster. What else did I expect? Although, it hasn't happened yet. If we can find an expert, someone that can control these things, there might still be time. You know, I was ready to go this alone, but maybe sticking with the herd isn't such a bad idea. And you seem like a useful person to know. All right. I accept. Lead on.
And welcome Asterion to the party. So first thing we're going to do is level him up. Not a whole lot that happens when you move up from level 1 to level 2 as a rogue, but you do get dash and disengage as what's called cunning actions. So instead of using an action to dash, and then when you get to where you're going not being able to do anything except a bonus action, here you can use a bonus action to dash, and at the end of it you can still attack or use any other type of regular action when you get there. So all part of the rogue's ability to move around and get behind people and do flanking attacks and sneak attacks and that sort of stuff. So very useful when you can get yourself into the correct positions, and that just helps you do it. Okay, so down here obviously another Mind Flayer pod, the one that he came out of, more than likely.
Wonder if the gods are watching me. What path lies before me? Need to find a way forward.
Okay, so what we are going to do here, whoops. What we are going to do here is make sure that Asterion does have a ranged weapon, but he also has the opportunity to dual wield here, so we're going to give him a dagger to... Oops. Give him a dagger so that now he can make 2 attacks, just like I can. We're going to keep Shadowheart obviously sword and board as we go through this thing. The clerics prefer blunt weapons, not bladed weapons, so she's good where she is with everything she has. So he's got some grease bottles. He obviously has a set of thieves tools, so we'll let him, with his character sheet, you can see his dex is 17, mine is 17 as well. So there is no bonus for either one of us to try and pick a lock or disarm a trap, so we're both going to be equally good at it, even though he is a rogue by nature. So let's go ahead and move on up, and you can see we're going to run up into some sort of encounter here with some enthralled civilians and a Mind Flayer.
More survivors. They're trying to dig somebody out of the wreckage.
So much blood.
Something's wrong. They should be trying to get away if they had any sense.
Just... Come on, dig! Faster! Get her out of there! Don't die! Don't die! Don't die!
The person they're trying to save, it's the creature from the ship. Still alive, but wounded.
Okay, so you saw that there was a perception check that happened completely in the background. You'll get that quite a bit in cutscenes, and the result of it will give you other options that may become available to you. So you know that this is the Mind Flayer that was on the ship. You know that they're enthralled. So you have some options here. So you have to also think of this in the context of they're enthralled by this creature. So if you tell them to let the monster die, they're probably going to be upset. If you tell them that you're here to help, they might not be upset. and might let you help out. But then again, you also have to remember that if they become upset and you get into a conflict, they don't necessarily know what they're doing. They're under the thrall of this Mind Flayer. So let's look at some options here and see kind of what you want to do to get the best outcome as you go through this. So you can make a persuasion check. It's a -1 from charisma, but I also do have the guidance cantrip available to me, so we can try it. If you fail it, you're probably going to anger them, but let's just see what we can do. It's a DC of 15, which is going to be difficult, especially when I've got a -1. So let's add in the guidance cantrip here and see if we get really lucky. And we did.
Your voice cuts through the fog of confusion. You can see the creature's hold on them wavering. As its influence wanes, they clutch their heads, blinking in confusion.
Where are we? There was fire in the sky and then the voice. Oh God, the voice! What happened? Gods, I think you're right. It called out from the wreckage. It sounded just like my daughter. But she's been dead for years. That thing got into our heads, drove us mad. We wrecked our boat just trying to get close to it. What do we do now? We're nowhere. That's the point. Even with a boat, Baldur's Gate is days. Wait. You. I can feel you. Just like one of those things. You're one of them! There's something in your head. Please, we'll take our chances out here. Just leave us be.
Okay, this...
Those people. The Mind Flayer made them its puppets.
This introduces you to the inspiration system. If you take a look at the party tab, you'll see that you have an inspiration here. If you do difficult things, or you solve difficult puzzles, or you get good approval ratings from your characters, you can get inspiration points. You can have a maximum of 4 of these at any one point, and they basically allow you to re-roll an ability check. So if you fail a roll on something, you can use an inspiration point to try and roll again. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to pass that roll, it just gives you the opportunity to roll again. So very useful to have. You can just kind of keep them in your back pocket until you get to something that you might really want to pass, and if you fail, keep that in the back of your head and know that you have it available to you if need be. So now we can look around here. We know there's a Mind Flayer down here on the ground. Let's kind of take an opportunity to look around a little bit first.
What path lies before
Just
me?
make sure there's nothing else. Hold Alt every once in a while and just check and make sure.
Then through.
You can see that there's another way out this way. There's also another path up here that is currently on fire. So you're either going to have to create water and douse it, or jump over it, and that will get you up into this area here. So again, look for all these alternate paths that are around you. They can sometimes lead you into unexplored areas that you haven't been. You can also see that there's another way to get up here on top, but doesn't look like there's anything up there, so not necessarily a need to go up there and look at anything.
How much farther can I go?
But we will just check around.
Should mind my step.
make sure that there's nothing else around here.
One day I'll catch a break. Best be on my way.
And we'll go down here and deal with the Mind Flayer.
You approach the dying monster. This is the thing that abducted you. You could end its life here and now. If only you didn't feel compassion. Compassion.
Okay, so now you can tell that the Mind Flayer is trying to get a hold of us. So you can follow it through and just give into it and see what happens. I'm obviously not going to do that.
You can't move, can't think. Thinking is mercifully done for you. It will be a joy to serve, to die for it an honor. It's possessing your mind, forcing you to love it. But then the feeling slips. The creature's mind seems to focus elsewhere.
Okay, so you can either take advantage of the lapse and break 3, or you might be able to roll an intelligence check and see if you can gather more information about the Mind Flayer and what it was doing. So again, we're going to get a -1 from intelligence, but let's go ahead and try and do this anyway. So we're going to add on our cantrip here and see if we can just get a decent roll out of it. Uh-oh. We're going to need to roll good. We did. Oh boy.
Slips.
Okay, so here's
The
where we
creature's
were. Let's
mind
try and make
seems
the
to
intelligence
focus
check
elsewhere.
before we crashed.
Your mind spews, lusting for something that is gone. But then, its grip claws back with a vengeance, a vice locking your mind into obedience. It needs sustenance to survive, and with your very body, you can provide.
Okay, we obviously don't want to lean in and try and kiss a Mind Flayer. That's going to be bad. So let's see what we can do here with our wisdom check. You only need a 5. Got a 3 to 6, so this is probably going to be where my RNG runs out. Watch. Oh, a natural 20. My first one of the playthrough.
The monster lies exhausted, defeated. Its eyes, wet orange pearls, radiate malice.
Couple of options here. I'm just going to end it. Stomping it in the head's probably a little dramatic.
Monster. Death is too good for it. At the ready.
Okay. We already know that there was nothing down here, but we'll just go open up that section of the map again.
Have to keep going. One day I'll catch a break. Footprints. There may be even more that survived the crash.
And another waypoint discovered. We'll go and check that out here in a second, but right here there's
Very well.
something else to look at
Dead
first.
goblins over there. Worth checking for supplies, maybe.
Dead goblins indeed. So a goblin bow. Some camp supplies. Goblin scimitar. Potion of healing. Always good. Okay, let's look at what we have with that scimitar. So a couple of things about dual wielding here. Light weapons and finesse weapons can be dual wielded. So here we've got 1d6 as our melee short sword primary weapon, and a light finesse dagger as our offhand weapon. That's 1d4. The goblin scimitar is 1d6. So now when we're wielding, we have two 1d6 weapons. So it was a straight upgrade over the dagger. The rapier is a finesse weapon, but it's not light. which means that I can't dual wield with it. You have to have light and finesse. So back in the previous Baldur's Gate games, the best way to do it was having dual wielded scimitars, and obviously you could abuse the party mechanic and take 2 of the best scimitars in the game off of one of your party members in Baldur's Gate 2. And it really gave you a huge leg up starting as soon as you got them in your party. So I tend not to abuse the party mechanic and steal stuff from my other characters very much, if at all. So we'll leave it as it is and continue on this way. Also remember that this option is here, but for now we're going to go over and we're going to look at this waypoint.
If not over, then through.
And we're going to save.
Better not be cursed.
You're alive. That's unexpected. Last I saw you, you were lying in a crucible's worth of blood. An intellect devourer nibbling at your ear. Glad to see my eyes deceive me. I'm Gale. Well met. The very same. A traumatizing experience, if an instructive one. Yes. The ocular penetration by an illithid tadpole, which will end with our souls being snuffed like strands of weave caught in dead magic. Not to mention, you're staring at me like a Rashimi at a blackboard. You're no wizard, are you? Pity. But that'll have to wait. The primary need now is a healer. I take it you recall the insertion of the parasite? Are you aware that after a period of excruciating gestation, it'll turn us into mind flayers? A process known as ceremorphosis? It is to be avoided. I assume you're no accomplished healer either. Powerful cleric, maybe? I gathered as much. We'll have to look for a solution elsewhere. You and I are in a whole lot of trouble. We need help, and I'm not sure where we'll find it in this wilderness. How about we embark on the quest for a healer together? Most excellent. Then, without further ado, let's be off. Besides, looks like you keep some interesting company. A woman with shadows for eyes, deep as the dark lake. Pleasure, madam.
Is it indeed? We'll see.
Oh, Gale. Ever the optimist, perpetually happy, ever the flatterer. Let's go ahead and level him up. Now with wizards, you get some more choices and options here. So first, hit points go up, they unlock level 1 spells, but you also have a subclass you can pick. Evocation is your damage dealers. Abjuration is your defensive casters, as well as some crowd control and debuffing casters. Each subclass gets different things. You can look at the subclass features that will be unlocked. For the most part, Evocation is the normal, what you think of as a wizard and what they do. So I'm going to choose Evocation as my subclass, but again, it's entirely up to you. Sculpt spells is really useful. If you cast something like Fireball, which is an area of effect spell, and you cast it when you have party members near to your target, you can create little pockets of safety inside that fireball so that your party members don't take damage, only the enemies do. That's a very useful thing to have. So as for spells, just like with the ranger, you have to learn spells. So we're gonna remove these two and look at the options that we have available for us. First is Magic Missile. Always take it, period, end of story. Magic Missile never misses. It's low damage, but again, it never misses, and you can cast 3 of them at once. So it's good for eliminating a few low hit point enemies, taking them off the board if they have 1 or 2 hit points left. You can guarantee to kill them. But if there's only one enemy out there, you can cast all 3 darts at the same enemy. So, you know, multiplying that damage against one target. So it's extraordinarily useful. Don't even think about it. Always pick it. For your next one, you've got a couple of different options. Burning Hands is a 5-meter radius. It goes in a cone out in front of you. I try and keep my magic users out of the fray, so Burning Hands is not very useful for me. Jump and Long Strider, we've seen those 2 already. Protection from Evil and Good, we've seen that again already. Find Familiar, we don't need to have Gale casting it because I can use it as often as I want outside of combat. Featherfall is very useful in tabletop. I haven't found it to be very useful here in the early access. There are a couple of locations where it can save you from taking some damage if you want to take a shortcut to get somewhere, but there are other ways to get there without having to use Featherfall to avoid taking damage, so I don't tend to do it. False Life gives you an extra pool of temporary hit points on top of yours. It's basically a way to bolster your hit points and keep you alive longer. But again, I normally have healers that take care of that type of stuff. This is useful. I just tend not to focus on it as one of my wizard spells here. Color Spray is, again, very, very useful. But just like Burning Hands, you have to be up close and personal to use it. It blinds up to 33 hit points of characters, which is a lot to be able to do, and you can blind multiple enemies at once. So it's very useful. I just, again, try not to get that close. So I'm really looking at something like Ray of Sickness, which does poison damage and possibly poisons the target, and Chromatic Orb, which in my mind is the more useful out of the 2. It does create a surface wherever it lands, and it deals random damage. It can deal 3d8 thunder damage or 2d8 of any of the elemental damages. So that's the one that I'm going to go with. The others here, Charm Person, I don't find it to be very useful in the early access. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is extraordinarily powerful if you can get it to work. The issue is that if they fail their saving throw, they fall on the ground, they can't do anything until they shake it off, or until they take damage. And that's the problem, is that you don't want to incapacitate somebody and then as soon as they take damage, they're free to do whatever they want. So it can be very good for taking a single enemy out of the fight for a while, but as soon as you take damage, they take damage, they're going to be back in the fight. At the end of the day, it's not really helping you very much. So I'm going to focus with Chromatic Orb, but again, these choices are entirely yours. For prepared spells, it's just like the Cleric and the Ranger. You have to prepare your spells here. So I'm going to remove all of these. First thing you're going to prepare, obviously, is Magic Missile. I'm also going to prepare Witch Bolt. Witch Bolt can be very powerful if you can get it to land against enemies that have high hit points. You throw out a lightning bolt, it does 1d12 of lightning damage, and it links you to them. And as long as you stay concentrated on that enemy and you don't break your concentration, it's going to automatically do 1d12 lightning damage every turn as long as that enemy is still alive. So it's one of those things that you can keep kind of running over and over and over again as long as you can get it to land the first time. So damage over time is always a very good thing to have in this game, and this certainly helps provide it. So Chromatic Orb is also one that I picked. I'm going to utilize it. Thunder Wave is just like Burning Hands and Color Spray. You have to be up close to use it. It does a lot of damage when you're up close. I just, again, tend not to try and get up close and personal. So the last two here I'm going to pick are Sleep and Grease. Sleep is just overpowered. That's just, put it mildly. You can put to sleep multiple enemies up to 24 hit points, and until they take damage, they just stay asleep for 2 turns. And it's a way to take a group of enemies out of the fight. As opposed to just one with Tasha's Hideous Laughter, you can do it with multiple enemies all at the same time and give yourself 2 turns to be able to deal with anything else and then come back to them. Grease, just like we saw in the prologue, you can throw down a surface, you can catch it on fire, enemies can fall on the ground in it, you can deny a group of enemies an area if they're approaching you from a certain direction. It's just very, very useful to have as part of a crowd control, but also as damage dealing. So those are the ones that I'm going to prepare and kind of go from there. Okay. So now we're going to kind of continue on as if we hadn't crashed.
With haste.
And see what we have up here. So we've come to a crossroads here. We've got a few different ways to go. I'm going to go clear out kind of down toward the area where we started here.
How much
And
farther
just
can I go?
open up this portion of the map.
Can't slow down. Should mind my step.
Okay, and it looks like we're approaching something here. Okay, there's a chapel. So you can kind of scout it. You can see there's a main entrance here. There's also another entrance that takes you around the side here. And also possibly down and around this way. There's also, looks like another way to get up and around this way.
Make sure it's safe.
You can see there's a couple of characters in here. They're armed, looking like they're ready for a fight. So we're gonna kind of move around a little bit, go back the way we came a little bit, and see if there are other options available to us.
Another step forward. Broken. Must have been here a while.
Okay, you can see that we've got a couple of non-hostile NPCs, and look who's up here in a cage. So this is the direction that we're going to go. Again, before we do this, we're just going to save. Now you can see that we could walk up this way and get into, looks like maybe that chapel again from this direction. We'll go head up here.
Breathe deep and move.
Zoru was right. Yellow as a toad and twice as ugly.
The thing's dangerous. Leave it for the goblins to kill.
And if it escapes, how will you... Oh, a guest.
Your skull pounds in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips don't move, yet you hear her voice.
You again. Get rid of them.
Okay, so we've got some options here. Persuasion and deception. Either one, I'm going to get a minus from my charisma. But we probably want to avoid a fight here if we can. So let's try a deception check and see what happens here. We're going to add in our guidance and see if we can overcome that negative. I've actually gotten really lucky
She's
with my
right.
rolls.
Let's go. We need to check out that blast. You didn't hear it? Shook our camp good, so we came for a look.
Okay, we might as well try another persuasion check and see if they can help us out with this camp.
Northwest. Look for Nettie. Whatever your wound, she can mend it.
And be careful. There are goblin traps everywhere.
Nymessa, come.
Enough gawking. Get me down.
Never.
You saw that everybody else is perfectly aware of how annoying and commanding she is, and when you put her in her place a little bit, they tend to enjoy that. So what I'm going to do here is you can only have 4 members in your party. I obviously want Lae'Zel as a major fighter damage dealer, and we do have that really cool sword to give her. I'm going to send Asterion back to my camp.
Hello. What can I do for you? Oh, darling, I'm hurt. I thought we had something special. Well, you know where to find me.
Always wounded and sulking. That's Asterion for you. So now I am going to knock out the bottom here.
The tadpole hasn't yet scrambled all your senses. Auspicious. But the longer we wait, the more it consumes. My people possess the cure for this infection. I must find a creche. You will join me.
Careful. She obviously sees your kindness as weakness. Don't let her take advantage.
It is many things. A hatchery, a training grounds, a shelter. Githyanki protocol is clear. When infected with a Gake tadpole, we must report to a caretaker for purification. You may as well suggest a wyvern bow to worms. The cure I offer will suffice as thanks. You have made an ally from Kresh Kalir. Few know such fortune. Call me Lae'Zel.
I'll trust your judgment, but I won't trust her. Not until I've gotten the measure of her.
You've a sharp tongue, elf. Would that your mind proved its equal.
Half-elf. I suppose the finer details are lost on a creature like you.
Come. The Horned Ones mentioned a camp. One there, this Zoru, has seen Githyanki. A creche must be near. We will ask this Zoru where he has seen my kin.
Okay. So let's level up Lae'Zel here for a fighter. Very simple. She just levels at pit points, but she also gets Action Surge, which is just extraordinarily powerful. It allows you basically a free action. You can run up, hit somebody, and then as soon as you're done, do it again. So it just allows you to multiply the amount of damage that you can do. So very, very useful. We'll rely on it quite a bit as we go through this. Okay, now one of the first things that we want to do here is give her the Everburn Blade. You can see that now goes up to 2d6 as opposed to 1d8. The +3 is her strength modifier, but she's also going to get the 1d4 fire damage on top of that. So very, very, very useful. Just going to organize a little bit more of the inventory here. Clean out some of these things. Free up a little bit of space. Gonna move the Firebolt spell over here and the mage armor spell here. I think that's about... I'm gonna move the book over here as well. Okay, that should be about good. And we're gonna go ahead and save, because all these rolls, all these great rolls we've been getting, they're gonna have to equal each other, equal out here at some point. Of course, that's the hot hand fallacy thinking, but still, you never know. Okay, so it looks like there's a third person here involved in what's happening here. And looks like there's a fourth as well. So again, looks like we've got a wizard, a fighter of some sort. This is another fighter of some sort, maybe a cleric, and probably a rogue, judging by the outfit. So some things to have to deal with in there. So let's go scout out around it and try not to draw any attention yet. Scout out some of the rest of the map before we come back and deal with that.
I hear shouting up ahead.
And there is shouting. It's for a specific reason, and one that we probably don't want to get into at this point. It's right in here, though. It's going to become a major encounter for us, and we want to kind of specifically plan for that, if we can. So go and head back down this way and just kind of clear out and open up more of the map here. Make sure there's nothing else that we've missed.
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Okay, now you can see we're on the other side of that fire surface that we had the opportunity to cross earlier.
Swift as my feet can carry me. What path lies before me? Can't slow down.
Alright, can everybody hear me again? Alright. That was a complete system crash, and then while it crashed, my computer decided to update. Oh boy. It's just, one of those nights, it looks like. So, we'll try and continue on here. Try and catch back up with where we were. I apologize, folks. I'll have to see if I can get some things worked out on my end with my computer. It's obviously not doing some of the things you would want out of a streaming computer, so apologize. I'll do what I can. Hopefully it's just new streamer jitters for my computer and it gets used to it, but we'll see what we can do. So
on my way.
Again, kind of where we were. Just open this up a little bit. We didn't lose much here.
How much farther can I go?
Just gonna head back down this way and open up all the map, just like we did last time.
With haste. I hear shouting up ahead.
Music to Githyanki ears.
Okay, so we know where we are now. Right back where we are. Let's take a look at our map. You can see that we have that little area down here. Let's go head back down that way and see if we can clear out that little section of the map, and then we'll maybe, if we have time, head back over here and take a look. So
moving ahead. Need to find a way forward. Light on my feet.
We'll say that watching Lae'Zel carry that flaming greatsword around is pretty cool to see.
What path lies before me?
If we had speak to animals, Might be an interesting conversation to have with the scared boar here. But either way, let's head down this way and see if we can see anything.
Can't slow down.
Deep grooves in the mud around that rock.
Okay, you see we had 4 perception checks. Everybody gets an opportunity to roll perception. 3 of them failed, and our wizard of all people succeeded. So if you all fail, then this scuffed rock, nothing happens with it. You can't interact with it. But if somebody does succeed, then you get the opportunity to interact with it and see what you can do. So what I'm also going to do is kind of split the group here and just kind of move
Still alive, so that's progress.
some
Can't
people
afford to stay idle.
out of the way a little bit, so to speak.
At the ready.
Because I know
Adventure
what's
awaits.
going to happen here, and I'm going to
See
take Lae'Zel up here, and we're going to try and interact with it. Okay, so she can't pick it up. It's too heavy for her. So, okay. So our options here are to try and do something to destroy it, but the end, Lae'Zel's character sheet shows that she has the highest strength out of anybody here in the party, and she's not able to move it with a 17 just in doing it. So there are options here for dealing with this. Now that we found it and we know it's here, we can come back and deal with it at our leisure, so to speak. So now that we found it, we opened up this section of the map. Let's just head back up.
Without delay.
Shouldn't have wished to live in more interesting times.
Well, it
One
looks
day I'll
like
catch a
somebody
break.
else has appeared down here.
Wonder if the gods are
Remember
watching
the
me.
group of people that were dealing with the Mind Flayer?
Keep back. Back!
These boots have seen everything.
These are the people who had a crashed boat.
I don't...
So this is their boat that's crashed out here now.
Keep moving.
We didn't get this trunk earlier because we were dealing with a crash.
It's not safe here. Keep moving.
Not touching that wreck. Not even looking at it.
And there's the same helmet that we can put on again.
Moving.
We need to move. What if there's more of those things?
Okay, so let's go back to the
Still on my
chapel.
way.
We've got 40 minutes or so. Let's see if we can deal with that fight.
Should mind my step. Another step forward. Swift as my feet can carry me. At the ready. Moving in.
Oops. We want to go back this way because we want to try and
Very well.
stay up here on the high ground. Okay.
Don't waste a step.
Okay, so we're going to go into sneak mode here. Okay, now a couple of different options to take this fight. So we're going to, and while we're in it, let's save. So we're going to get rid of our group. We're going to move our ranger in here. Kind of get a lay of the land here. You can see the magic user is now down here at the bottom. So we can go in here and try and trigger this.
Haven't seen anyone but us. It's just wilderness out here.
Okay, and the magic user is going to turn this way. As soon as they do, the cutscene's going to trigger because she saw us.
Boss! Got company up here!
What's this then? Trying to creep around us and loot the crypt? Not happening. Or is it the ship you're after? Don't matter either way. It's ours. All of it.
Okay, so we have some options here. Again, all of them at a -1. But we can either take this fight or we can try and avoid it. But you know, in this case, I think I'm actually going to try and take the fight. It's not an easy fight. It's 4-on-4. I tend to like my odds a little bit better than that. But
first you look, then you touch, then you take. The only thing we're sharing with you is our pointy ends. Get her!
Impero, TV.
okay, I rolled horribly on initiative. So everybody got an attack in on me almost before I could do anything. But it is where we are. So now remember, we have other characters here who are currently not in combat at all. So let's see if we can maybe take advantage of that a little bit. We do have an archer over here who we want to prioritize, but we do have a fighter here who is doing a lot of damage with that sword. So what we probably want to do is get Lae'Zel in there as quick as we can.
Staying out of sight.
And see if we can get her into a position.
Unheard, unseen.
Okay, let's see if we can take out Warren here. And to do that, we're going to start with a cleave. This is going to swing our weapon in a large arc around in front of us. And everybody who's in range of it is going to take half of the possible damage. So I could go after Warren here. I have a 1 to 15 on my attack, so I can't kill him anyway. Or I can kind of take partial damage off of both of them. So I've got a really good chance to hit them both. You know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, why don't we just try and attack Warren straight out? Okay, 15 points of damage there. Nothing else that Lae'Zel can do. So now let's kind of get Shadowheart in here and see if maybe Shadowheart can
Need to press onward.
do some healing possibly, but also get into a position to maybe do an attack as well. So okay, so the first thing that I want to do is to get off a heal, because Valen is seriously hurt.
Take cure.
Okay, so in doing that, you automatically join combat. You've lost your initiative. So, but she did get the heal off and got some hit points back. So that's a good thing that we wanted to happen. And last is Gale here. So let's see if we can get Gale into a position where okay, so the first thing that we can do is just get Warren out of the fight entirely. So let's go ahead and take care of that with a magic missile. Okay, so each one of these is going to do 2 to 5. So let's just double him up just to be on the safe side. And then we'll cast the last one at the fighter. Okay, so now Gale's in the fight. You can see where all of our initiatives are. Right here, all in a group, which is good. But now we need to deal with Valen here. So our Raven fell asleep. The magic user over here cast sleep. We're immune to it as an elf. So let's see what options we have. The first thing that we're going to do is reapply our hunter's mark. And we're actually going to apply that hunter's mark over here, I think. We're going to cast a piercing shot on her. Perfect. Took her completely out of the fight, which is exactly what we wanted to have. Now, I've got 14 hit points. He's going to get a shot on me here. We'll just see if I end up surviving it or not. Okay, so I did survive it. Now we're down to 2 enemies to deal with. I can reapply Hunter's Mark again. This is going to be rather interesting because as soon as I disengage with Lae'Zel, she's going to get an attack of opportunity. So I think what I'm going to have to do here is cast the Hunter's Mark and take Hammond out of the fight if I possibly can. So problem is that I need to... Nope. We'll just do this and see what we can do. Oh, not a great thing to have happen.
They burn.
So, Gale here. See what options we have. Okay, let's see if we can put Gimblebach to sleep. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Need to act fast.
Okay, what we definitely want to do is heal up Lae'Zel, though.
Take cure. Take cure.
Okay, now Lae'Zel's back to full hit points.
Swift and lethal.
And now we're gonna have Lae'Zel go after him here. Okay, we can use an action surge. Do it again. Done. Okay, so now we're gonna move up here right next to him. End our turn. He's still asleep. Can't do anything. So I am going to apply Hunter's Mark to him. That does not cause any damage, so he stays asleep. Okay, and now at this point, I can disengage
Have to keep
without
going.
provoking an attack of opportunity. And now I can attack. Okay, so he's awake, but his turn has already passed. So now I'm done.
The last board is set.
Gale.
Torment.
Cast his magic missiles. Boom and done. Alright, so this explains the long rest and what it does. We've already kind of talked about that. We're probably going to do one here in a second, but I do have a couple of short rests to take to try and get some hit points back. 1, 2. Put the group back together. Put her back up front again. Whoops. Alright, now we can go about looting these guys.
Color me curious.
No time to rest.
Another longsword. Got some scale mail armor, so we'll take that to start with. Send that to our camp, and we'll take the malachite. Thieves' tools, trap disarm kit, another longsword. Some leather armor, we'll take that to start with. And one here. He's got an acid arrow, always nice. Short bow. We'll actually send that to Shadowheart for now. We're going to check that here in a little bit. Okay. Now see if there's anything in the crate. Nothing. So let's open up our party tab and take a look here. Everybody has a ranged weapon. Gale does not, but... Okay, so going into our party menu here and taking a look at what we have. We found some scale mail armor. That's a 14 armor class. Your armor class from dexterity is limited to +2. So I have a +3. But other people who are limited to only +2 already can possibly get a benefit out of that. So we'll kind of take a look at that and see if it might be useful. So for me also, it's a 14 armor class compared to 11 that I'm wearing. So I'm getting 11 +3 gets me 14. If I put this on, I'm going to get 14 +2 and go to 16. So see, it's an automatic increase. It does come with disadvantage on stealth rolls though. So if I am in hiding and someone's vision cone rolls over me, then again I'm going to be at disadvantage at that point. But it's worth it. You'll see as we go along that it's really not that big of an impact. Now for the leather armors, we already have a chain shirt medium armor here, which is better than the 11 here, and we have Githyanki half plate, which is one of the best medium armors that you're going to find. So neither one of these are going to be useful to anybody, but they're worth quite a bit of money. So you keep them around just to be able to sell them off at some point later on. So going to, can't do it with these tools. So is there anything else in here I need to get rid of? Not really. Okay. So I did put a couple of things over here. Put the quarterstaff. Gale's already carrying a quarterstaff, so he doesn't need it. And the simple robe, he's already wearing simple robe, so he doesn't need that either. So, looks like we're okay with everything we have. We do have this book. You guys can pause and look through this, but again, kind of another love letter journal thing that may possibly come in useful, come in handy at some other point in the future. So
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
around here now we do have a plaque here that we can try and read.
Time and the elements have left the plaque unreadable.
Okay. So nothing there. Now you can see we're back at the front
Don't waste a step.
of this chapel where we originally came
Should
in.
mind my step.
So again, instead of coming right in through the front door, you take the high ground up there, and
Breathe deep.
depending upon how that encounter works and where people go once they enter into combat, you can keep advantages by having the high ground over people. So we do have another camp supply here. You can come over here, and oh, there are some knotted roots that you can climb down here.
On my way.
Okay, there's a skeleton we can loot. Potion of healing, always good. And there's also a locked door here. That's the second locked door that we've encountered. Probably all leading to the same place. So we can try and pick that. We do have 3 sets of thieves' tools on us. So we can see what it is. Possibly give it a go.
Can't keep me out.
Okay, that's a DC of 20. So we're probably not going to pass this. Okay, but we can give us a +4 to 7 on it and try anyway and see what we get. Wow, looky there. Okay, we actually did unlock it. So, we're actually going to come back to this. We will go ahead and stop things for the evening at this point. I think it's probably a good place for us to stop, and then when we come back, we'll explore some options for dealing with this chapel, and what's here, and some of the best ways to go about it and things that you can encounter. So I think we'll kind of pick it up from that point, and also I don't want to have another crash while we're just sitting here waiting. So again, thank you to everybody who was here for the stream. Certainly appreciate everybody showing up. Sorry, I apologize again for all of the issues that I seem to be having. My second stream ever. Still trying to work out some issues here, obviously. Thank you very much for your patience. But at this point, I think we'll wrap things up. Again, everybody, have a great evening, and thank you for your time. I certainly appreciate it. We'll see you next week.